Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, relationships and socializing in general. I think it's a book by George Feuerstein, Encyclopedia of Yoga, and in there it's mentioned. I think it's Jnana Sangha. There's Sat Sangha and Jnana Sangha. Jnana Sangha is general socializing just generally, and Sat Sangha is socializing with the truth, mixing with the truth, trying to find the truth, and that's your company with the truth. Jnana Sangha is general company, so company with just anybody, and I think that to me that's very essential because as we talked about in the previous podcast, you're trying to wake up and everybody around you is asleep. So if you generally socialize, if you socialize with just general people, they're going to keep you asleep. I call it seeding dysfunction. So that's what all these group therapies and things like that, everybody there is going to try to wake up, but they're all dysfunctional. And then they're relying on a facilitator who's also dysfunctional in most cases. Because why? They're doing it for money. So there's an incentive. There's a perverse incentive there. So you won't, it's very difficult to get out of that. Everybody's screaming together. Everyone's exchanging their dysfunction. You're exchanging stories. You're seeding dysfunction. So that's why in the encyclopedia they said just to forget that. Just dismiss socializing in general and try to find people that are awake already and only socialize with them. So it says simply dismiss it, socializing. It seems crazy. What are we going to do? We're gregarious beings. Yeah, that's the trick. You're gregarious beings, so you go to the pub together. You drink together. It's easy for the system to manipulate you based on you being gregarious. If you look at Jesus, the first to this story again, I have to
not him again.
Yeah, I have to use the references because it's good. It gives context. So Jesus, Buddha, both of them, what did they do? They extricated themselves from their peer group. Yeah, Moses as well. Anyone who tries to wake up, this is the first step. It's very painful. You have to extricate yourself from the people around you because the people around you are mainly dysfunctional. So you're never going to wake up in their presence, in their company. Everybody's seeding dysfunction. You'll see it with your own family members. You see?
Abraham left his father's house.
Exactly. It's all, you look at the stories. They're just stories. They're metaphors. They're allegories. They're life lessons. So you look, the first step that all of them made is to extricate themselves from their peer group because that's what it is, peer pressure, keeping you in the box. They then went on their journey. Jesus, 40 days in the wilderness, Buddha under the bo tree, etc., to find themselves, to orientate to what? Truth, to try to find truth. That's the North Star. You're trying to find the truth, and it's not going to be the truth that there's going to be no truth in the box, in the culture you're in. There's going to be very little truth there. You have to find it. It's very difficult. So this is the process. First step, extricate yourself, focus on truth, try to find people who are true. You can even find it on the internet, you see. Ironically, YouTube. Have a look in YouTube. Look for very good, high quality talks, high quality, training videos on athletics. If you want to get yourself fit, the best way to do it without spending a lot of money is just to go on YouTube. There's a plethora of professionals there, professional athletes. And they've got their training videos. You've seen them all. You've got them all. Fitness videos. Search through them. Find very high quality ones. Not junk, high quality. People who are really at the top of their game. Then you've got access to them. They're in your home instantly with no pay, free. Instead of going to do a class indoors. This is the process. Instead of doing a philosophy class, find the top level, the highest functioning philosophers on YouTube, on the net.
It's funny you say that because I tried to persuade my niece, who back last year, she finished school and she was going to go to university. And I said to her, imagine if I was to give you a suitcase of £100,000 and said to you, look, you can either give that to university or you can just spend it however you want. Right. What would you do? And in the end, she just went to university, and it was ridiculous. She's studying psychology or something, right? She's going to university. I said, why don't you just take the money, go and live in Bristol, which is where the university is. Go and live in Bristol, and you can you can go on YouTube every day. And you can study psychology with the best people in the world, the best psychologists in the world. You could even spend a few quid contacting them and saying, "Can I have some private time with you?" Right? You could probably do that for a few £100. You could probably get private time with some of the best psychologists in the world, right? What on earth are you doing there? And you could live there, and you could like have a right old laugh watching all the other students, stress out, having to answer ridiculous questions, so that they can get a tick and they can get a piece of paper at the end of the year, right? In this day and age, that whole university for many, many subjects, not all, maybe there's a few, maybe some engineering or things that require lab work, or I don't know, there's a few things that maybe it's worth going to university for, but the vast majority of things, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to go to university when you've got all access to the finest people in any field on the internet now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that we're monkeys basically. So we're gregarious. We like cuddles, we like touch, we like all of this stuff. But really, what is socializing for? If you break it down, really, it's data exchange and energy exchange. That's what you want from a person, really, when essentially you need that. I mean, if you're talking about the mission is to wake up, then you need data, you need information from another person. So when you go to the pub, what data is being exchanged with someone in the pub? See, for a start, you're drinking something that inebriates you, so it dulls the mind. See, that's why I don't understand why Jesus went to the pubs in the Bible and he mixed with publicans. See, I can't understand it. Maybe because he felt the people there were more kind of honest, earthy, gritty. I'm not sure. See, it doesn't make any sense at all why he went to pubs, and supported publicans. I don't know why. Also, the reference with him turning water to wine. See, I've got an issue with that as well, turning water to wine. He should have turned wine to water, surely. See, not turning water to wine. Should have turned wine to water. See, I know it's just a symbolic, I don't know what the significance of the thing is, but it doesn't make sense to me. Why he turned wine? Why is he satisfying the people in the pub by turning water to wine? So he should have turned the wine to water. Should have made the people realize in the pub that they don't need the wine. The water is sufficient, and all of the potency is within. So once you drink the water, it's as if you've drunk wine, because the potency is in you. It's a catalyst for the potency that's already in you. That's it. There's loads of flaws there. But really, the point that we're making here is that you don't need to socialize, see? Especially in this age now. There's no real need to socialize because most of socializing is dysfunctional. So you need to cut it out. As they say in that yoga encyclopedia I mentioned, Jnana Sangha simply should be just dropped, should be dropped. There's no room for it in yoga, in the path of yoga, because you're working towards truth. And if the people are dysfunctional, you're seeding dysfunction. You're preventing yourself from waking up by being with them. They're keeping you in the box. See? So you have to draw away. There has to be a period of solitude, unless you're lucky enough to find a fellow, see, or some fellows that are also on the same mission. Then you can join together, and then you've got the power of 4 or 5 or 10 or whatever if you're really lucky. You probably won't be that lucky because there's so few of them. There's so rare people who are focused on truth or interested in truth. Most people are interested in, studying physics or whatever, or some other subject. The most important subject is philosophy, really, because it's the love of wisdom. It's focusing on truth.
It's truth as well.
Physics is the truth in the material world, see? But we need to find the truth within. See, there's no use us knowing, as I said yesterday in the podcast, Einstein, E equals MC squared. Very good, but what's significant? Look at us. Look at the state we're in. It hasn't had any impact on our internal state, each and every one of us. See, E equals MC squared. Very good. We've understood how time works a little bit more in space and the cosmos. You see, this is why I kind of reined DNW in, because he was going off into the cosmos, considering the star and what we're doing here in the bigger picture. No, the bigger picture is inside, but inside each one of us. Once we're set up properly and we're tuned properly, then you'll have functional human relations. You'll have functional human society. You'll have functional human culture. Everything will become functional based on the individuals becoming functional. So I say all of these subjects, they're really distractions if we're off course ourselves as individuals, as beings. So it doesn't matter what you find out about the cosmos or anything else. If you're dysfunctional, it will all that knowledge will be used in a dysfunctional way. And that's what we see here. That's what this culture is, this cult. It's a dysfunctional cult because the individuals are dysfunctional. They haven't worked their own problems out. They haven't settled their own internal state and equalized that. So yeah, I say focus. There's no need to socialize with people that are dysfunctional. So you have to see that. And then you've got all the functional people. You've got access to functional people, especially now. It's very difficult in the old times because you never had YouTube. Now you've got YouTube. You still have to, you still have to sort through YouTube and find the good quality material because there's loads of junk there also. So you have to be careful.
I would actually say that you can, I mean, you wouldn't not necessarily socializing, it depends on what you mean by that, but you can also use the internet to set up networks of people who are interested in truth, you know.
Yeah.
I'm on a WhatsApp group. I don't really look at it very much, but I'm on a WhatsApp group with fellow people who I don't know. I don't really like calling it antinatalism. Let's use my word. I prefer the word preventionists. Right? I'm on a WhatsApp group with fellow preventionists who are committed to the prevention of suffering through non-procreation. So that you can I think you can connect with those people now that we've got the internet. So you can find people who are on a search for truth.
Yeah, for sure. That's the internet again. You see, in the old days, as I said, you would find it very difficult. You can't. You'll be on your own, very solitary, as they were, the people of old, the Jesuses, the Buddhas, the Abrahams, etc. They were on their own. They never had any internet. See, the only thing they had was an internal desire for truth. This is what separates people. See, this is what separates prophets. They're driven by an internal desire for truth. And that's all they're interested in. It's an obsession. They just want to find the truth. What's really going on here? See, as Danny said when I met him, he had the poster. See, he had an internal drive for truth. He asked that question. That's the question I responded to because I had an internal drive for truth. So when I saw the question, it triggered me. It attracted me. I wanted to answer it desperately. And I came up with, it's a diabolical DNA con to answer his question. That's where we connected, right there. Boom. He asked the question. He had an internal desire for truth. I answered the question. I had an internal desire for truth. Connection. Boom. Immediately, we connect. And we've been friends since that time. That's what it is. We were separate from the general populace because of that internal desire for truth. That's what separated us from the pack. And that's what separates all prophets from the pack. They have this internal desire for truth, all-consuming, obsessional. That's what it is. So they'll leave anything else in order to find truth. They'll leave their family if they have to find truth. They'll leave their peer group to find truth. They'll go against culture in order to find the truth. See, this is what it is. This is the driving momentum, the driving force within all prophets. It's that one characteristic, I would say, an internal desire for truth, all-consuming, obsessional.
And it's, you know, I've always struggled. My wife's a very gregarious person. She's a lovely, gregarious, very funny person, and she loves socializing. And her parents died, are no longer alive. She had a very interesting relationship with her parents in terms of they would speak every single day, but they would never say anything of substance. And she also was very protective of them. She would never say anything that, you know, when we had arguments or when she was going through stuff or when she wasn't feeling well, she would never say anything to them to protect them from ever knowing anything that, you know, any suffering that she would have or any difficulty she would do. And she also one of the things that we kind of disagreed with, which was, you know, she would invite every week on the Sabbath, she would love inviting people round to the house and making really beautiful meals and have them round, and they would talk like all this small talk, And I never ever could stand it. It should drive me absolutely crazy. I couldn't have the small talk. And I, you know, I've asked that question, as you saying to me, you know, what's really going on? You know, I've been experimenting with that question for 20 years. I must have asked thousands of people that question. And, you know, sometimes people would say, oh God, this is not a time. You're still, you know, what are you asking this for? Oh, you know, whereas for me, it's always the time. It's always the time to keep asking that question. What is really going on?
Right.
That's for me, you know, and yesterday, and again, I'm going to come back to a point that we've been speaking about, is that sometimes it's difficult to recognize. So sometimes it's difficult to recognize, you know, how much work, for me, it's difficult to recognize how much work I've put in over the years, and how much work I'm constantly putting in, constantly making mistakes, constantly reviewing it, constantly trying to pull away, and how much work is involved in doing that. And you know, yesterday we invited some. We're here in this place in Polis in Cyprus, and it's very. It's a very conservative place. There's not a lot of people here, and we haven't met a lot of people that we can even have some tiny connection with. And we found these guys, very nice people, and we invited them round for dinner. And you know, the amount of work we put in, and then they got there, and they were German, and they didn't speak very good English, which is so fair enough. Why should they? You know, we're here in Cyprus, and they were struggling with the English, and then
all the nuances were lost on them, and over their head, everything. So and we'd set up the whole house with our t-shirts around, which is we'd created this sanctuary for ourselves, right? And set up all our t-shirts around. You know, mummy is the root of all evil. Only losers have kids. Winners don't have kids. Smart people don't have kids. Why boycott? Already got an inner child to feed.
Yeah, your favorite.
Yep.
Boycott procreation. Make love, not babies. More people, more problems, all over the place. We'd set up this whole thing, and they invited them there. They didn't really understand it all, and you know, they got hit with it. They didn't really know what was going on, and then we had to try and find things to talk about, and yeah, it's like it was such a strain for me, and it's always been a strain for me to have this small talk. Well, I mean, you know, we only have this life. I've got 6 months. I've been told I've only got a few months left to live, and I'm trying to live like that. And I'm going to try and force myself to have small talk with people. What a complete waste for me. I just can't. I can't stomach it.
Yeah, if you look at the traits of geniuses, just do a search. The traits of genius. I think there's 15 traits of geniuses, or 20. There's all different lists, but on all the lists, what comes up is small talk. They can't stand small talk. Geniuses, because they've got no time for it. Their mind is occupied with like I said, this desire, this internal drive for truth. So they're working out the game of life. If they're on the highest level, it would be life that they're engaged with, working out life itself. It's massive. So you've got no time for small talk. You've got no time in your mind for it. It doesn't just, what's it for? It doesn't make any sense. You're working on a problem. You're trying to work life out. It's the massive problem. It's the problem to be working out as a human being. What are we here for? What's really going on? That's the question. Danny asked it. See, he was asking for people to come and help him with that problem. Nobody could help him. See, I saw it, and I was also searching for that as well. I wanted to find out what's going on here. I want to orientate. What is this game about? It's crazy. It seemed crazy to me from when I was very young. School, everything crazy. The teachers, what they were up saying is madness. I couldn't understand any of it. I used to look around the classroom and think, this is weird. Why are we here? Why are we all sitting together in this room listening to this nut job? That's what I used to think when I was young. I just want to go and play. I want to engage. I want to find out. I want to inquire. I want to search myself. So this is what it is, you see. This is what I said. You've got to have this internal drive for truth. That's what pulls you out the box, so to speak. It's a magnetic pull to stay in. It's ferocious. It's massive. Gravitational pull to keep you inside the box, keep you on the rails, keep you on the tracks. And the only force that would counter that, I call it counterintelligence, is this internal desire for truth. That's also massive. That if you can develop that as an engine, it will force you away from the gravitational pull. You'll be able to exit. See, and then when you exit, that's waking up. That's enlightenment. You'll see it all for what it is, everything. See, and then you're on your way, but then still don't get complacent because, as we said, you're getting pulled back again. It's continuously pulling you back to your peer group, back to your family, back to the dysfunctional members of the group, back. It feels comfortable. The monkey body wants comfort. You see, it doesn't want change. That's why it's so difficult to stay on a training part. Athletic training part or a physical training part. You don't want to get up in the morning. See, we've been getting up at 5 o'clock. It's still difficult. See, we've been doing it for 7-8 weeks. Yeah. See, it hasn't become easy. The monkey's constantly saying, oh my God, not again. Go and stay in bed. Oh, come on. This rubbish is trying to counter what you're doing. And you must counter it. That's why it's counterintelligence. You have to apply it. It has to be force applied. So you have to push your way outside of this cultural box and outside of the natural box, which is DNA driven. So it's very difficult. It's immense work. That's why I said yesterday, we are prophets. You see, it doesn't matter if you err. Jesus erred. Everybody errs, but it's the course correction. And why, and how come they stay on course? Because they got this internal desire for truth, all consuming. So it doesn't matter. You err, you check it, you course correct. Come back again. Come back to what? The truth. Satsanga. Relationship with the truth. That's your number one relationship, is to the truth. And then everything else is secondary. See? To use a quote from the film Seven, the serial killer in film Seven, we try to live as normal people yesterday. We try to live as normal people. We try to have some, we try to socialize with some general people that we saw on the path here. So it was a mistake because it's a waste of time. See, different levels of evolution, different levels of development, vastly different. See, and the twain can't come together. It's impossible. There's no profit in it, nothing to be gained from them. They didn't understand what we were talking about. We were wasting our time. We just tried to live as normal people for an instant there. Then we quickly realized, it doesn't work. Course correction. We're okay as we are. We found each other. That's certainly enough. It's very good. Now, we're both committed to truth. We're both committed. We're both searchers. We're both all consumed by truth. We want to find the truth. See? So that's enough. That's cool. If anyone else drops in that's in the same condition, wonderful. You're expanding your social group. But don't let the monkey body hijack you and then go down the ladder. You see? Go back to the lower base camps. Keep forcing your way up to the summit. See, this is what it's all about. Take one foot in front of the other and keep walking up towards the summit, no matter what's pulling you down. Family members calling you back. There's another film I love called THX 1138. It's an old George Lucas film. George Lucas, we done a podcast on that. Have a look at that film. That says it all, really. You see, that is actually the best film I think ever made, because of the subject matter and also the cinematography and the music. It's just a master. It's a work of genius. Beautiful film. Very well sculpted, very well crafted in every way. The music, top level musicians on the score of the film, top level cinematographer, cameraman, top level everything. Direction was on point. And the theme, mostly the most important thing is the theme is on point. It's the best film he's ever made. It's far superior to Star Wars. See, but it's his first film, very first film he made. It's the best film, see? So have a look at that film. It's all about what I'm talking about. The protagonist is trying to escape from a world, a box. He's trying to get out, and it's immensely difficult. See, and you'll see, just watch the film and it will say, I don't need to explain it. I recommend everybody watch that film. That's essential viewing, definitely.
Yeah, and just want to sort of end off with a reference to what you were saying at the beginning about what's really going on, and that it's a diabolical DNA con. And when if that resonates with you, and it does with me, then it's quite entertaining, really, and interesting to watch it play out all around you and in my own life, all around me in my own life. And when we invited these people, and nothing against them, they didn't even speak English very well, and so they may listen to this for one day, and I've got nothing against them at all. They were nice people. They're here doing interesting stuff. Really, they've managed to extricate themselves from Germany, and they've realised that this is a lovely, peaceful place and come and live here. But after we invited them and they left. We just thought we calculated that we'd spent 5 hours of our time, right, preparing the food, right, going out to get the damn food, then putting it on, then sitting with them for an hour and a half, 2 hours, cleaning up afterwards. 5 hours we spent with them. And just like we looked at each other, what on earth are we doing? We're here in this beautiful place. You're going back in 2 days, right? And we spent 5 hours, right, doing this. And then during the time that they were there, I was having to push myself to try and find conversation. It was uncomfortable, right? There were, when it was silent, it was uncomfortable, and. And so when we reviewed it afterwards, we'd also invited more people. So the next day we'd invited more people, got all excited. We met a really lovely guy, a lovely guy on the beach, but we couldn't it wasn't suffice to chat with him there. We had to invite him and his partner, right? And then another whole several hours, and then we didn't know how it would be. Right, and sit down, do all the small talk, right? And so when we reviewed it, this is what I came up with. I don't know if you agree with this. When we reviewed it, you can simply go back to that. If you understand life to be a diabolical DNA cop, right? If you understand it to be like that, and that relates to you, we can just go back and say, all right, then look, let's see this from the point of view. What's going on and what's really going on? What has DNA got us to do now again? How does that relate? And it does, because it's trying to, even though of course this is not going to lead to reproduction. Us inviting a middle-aged German couple is not going to lead to children, right? But it's in the background. It's all part of this whole thing, the gregariousness, the socializing, and also the loneliness that is so common for people to feel. This is all part of the driver of DNA to get us to reproduce, even though we may be whatever it is, even if you're gay, right? And even if that won't lead to the actual reproduction, it's all there in the background, driving absolutely everything.
And it's a gravitational pull back into the box. Even if it doesn't lead to reproduction, it leads to the destruction of your mission. So you will not reach the summit. It's trying to attempt to pull you back into the convention again. See, with the people that are conventional. So you're being pulled constantly back into the box, so to speak. This is what it is. You have to pulse forward. You find fellows that are on the same path and they also see the summit and they can see where they're going. Those are the people to join with. The other people, unfortunately, there's no use for them. They'll only retard you. They retard your growth. They'll arrest your development.
Yeah. So, if you do relate, if you're listening to this and you do understand where we're coming from, and you do really relate deeply to the idea that this is all DNA driven, it can be, it can be a lot of fun and really interesting to just watch yourself and watch others. I've mentioned in the past that since I've come to this understanding, I sit around and watch couples, in restaurants and think, oh, Jesus, look at what DNA is doing now. It's got them to come to the restaurant. It's got them to order some alcohol, right? Which then gets their guard down. And before they know it, they'll be having sex, right? And having children, or it's got them to look to each other in each other's eyes. Oh, and I say, I love you and all that. All this whole thing, right? All an elaborate plan by DNA, so to speak. Obviously, it's not a plan, but it's all driven. It's all driven by this code.
Keep the game going.
To keep the game going on and on and on and on. And it's an absolutely fascinating It's a fascinating exercise to do. And it kind of, it undercut, I mean, it's also quite painful in a way because it sort of takes the energy out of it all and sort of undercuts everything that you see.
Yeah, it undercuts the immersion. So there's a separation, which is quite painful because people love being immersed in the game. They get joy from immersion. So obviously it detaches you from that. That's what Buddha said again. See, detachment, dispassion. See, he realized that you have to cut it. This immersion, if you're completely immersed in something, you've got no idea what's going on because you're completely immersed. You have to get some position away from it in order to look at it. And that's the meta perspective. You have to look down upon yourself and analyze your performance and the game itself to have a chance of playing it well.